What's up, nerds? I'm Kendrick, your not-so-friendly neighborhood otaku, and welcome to my channel where I talk all things anime, manga, manhwa, and webcomics. If that's the type of thing you're into, then subscribe because I'll put 1 to 2 videos out every Thursday to Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard, and 2 to 3 shorts out every Monday to Wednesday also at 1 p.m. The shorts that I'll be uploading will be my anime commentary. Hell's Paradise is already all up here, but I'll still need to upload my Spy Family, Chainsaw Man, and My Happy Marriage commentary, so be on the lookout for that. Today, I'm going to be continuing the series where I read the Jujutsu Kaisen manga over from the beginning and bring you all along with me. As always, this is great for anyone who's a first-time JJK fan, anime only, or who, like me, as the series progresses, needs to go back and have reminders of some of those details and key moments. So let's take a look at Volume 2. Continuing where Volume 1 left off, Sukuna has taken over Yuuji's body to fight the special grade curse that he, Nobara, and Megumi were failing to subdue. Sukuna realizes that if he goes after Megumi and Nobara, Yuuji will regain control of his body. So he considers working with the curse, but before he comes to a decision, the special grade curse attacks him. Sukuna heals Yuuji's injuries and decides to fight the curse. He easily overwhelms the curse, terrifying it in the process. Assistant manager Kiyotaka takes Nobara to the hospital, and Megumi decides to stay behind to wait for Yuuji. During their fight, the special grade curse heals its wounds, but Sukuna uses Domain Expansion Malevolent Shrine, slicing the curse to pieces and taking back his finger that was in the curse's body. After defeating the curse, Sukuna tells Yuuji to take back control of the body, but there's no answer. Outside, Megumi notices that the domain is gone, meaning that the special grade curse has been killed. Suddenly, Sukuna appears beside Megumi and says that Yuuji is paying for overusing his powers. Then, Sukuna rips Yuuji's heart out. As a curse, he can live without it, but if Yuuji were to regain consciousness in this moment, he would die. Sukuna then ingests the finger that he took back from the special grade curse he fought and prepares to kill Megumi. In Chapter 9, Megumi takes on Sukuna, believing that Yuuji will return no matter what. He decides his only option is to wear Sukuna down until he needs the heart back in his body. Even with his Shikigami though, Megumi is no match for Sukuna. While asked by Sukuna why Megumi didn't leave Yuuji behind, he mentions a girl named Sumiki whose life was unfair. Megumi proclaims that he will save others not because he's a hero, but because he's a Jujutsu sorcerer and he doesn't regret saving Yuuji. Yuuji then takes back over control of his body and tells Megumi to live a long life before dropping dead. In Chapter 10, we learn Geto and a group of cursed spirits used one of Sukuna's fingers to create the cursed womb. They wanted to gain intel on Sukuna, but the single-eyed volcano head cursed Jogo felt that it was a waste of Sukuna's finger. Meanwhile, Gojo and assistant manager Kiyotaka talk about the circumstances surrounding Yuuji's death. Gojo felt that the higher-ups sent his students on a mission in order to get Yuuji killed. And Jujutsu High's doctor, Shoko, prepares to dissect Yuuji in order to figure out what really happened. While Megumi and Nobara mourn the loss of their classmate, they meet the second years. Maki, Inumaki, and Panda try to cheer them up by inviting them to take place in the Kyoto Goodwill event, a competition that pits the students of Jujutsu High against those in its sister school in Kyoto. Elsewhere, Geto continues talking to the cursed spirits in a diner. Jogo believes that curses are the truest form of humans and that they need to eliminate all of the fakes. Geto then notes that the key to winning that war is to immobilize Gojo and get Sukuna on their side. Deep within Yuuji's consciousness, we see Sukuna look down on him. In Chapter 11, Yuuji faces Sukuna in his innate domain to determine if Sukuna will revive Yuuji. Sukuna demands appreciation for healing Yuuji's arm, but he refuses and points out that Sukuna is the whole reason he's dead in the first place. Yuuji tries to attack to no avail as he's within Sukuna's innate domain. Annoyed, Sukuna has Yuuji agree to fight to the death and immediately severs his head. Gojo believes that the higher-ups are the scum of the Jujutsu world, but if he wishes to reform the Jujutsu world, he needs stronger sorcerers on his side. Gojo believes all of the students will become strong sorcerers, especially the upperclassmen Hakari and Yuta. Dr. Shoko prepares to dissect Yuuji when he suddenly reawakens and sits up. Gojo welcomes him back and asks Shoko to keep him listed as deceased in the report so the higher-ups can't target him again. Gojo then plans to train Yuuji for the Kyoto Goodwill event. Back at the diner, Geto tells Jogo that they cannot defeat Gojo even if they work together. They must trap him using a special grade cursed object known as the Prison Realm. In Chapter 12, Jogo heats up the diner due to his excitement in learning that Geto is in possession of the Prison Realm. One of the waiters in the diner notices a killer aura coming from around Geto, but is unable to see the curses that he's talking to. After asking Geto to gauge his strength, Jogo's confidence goes to his head and he promises to personally kill Gojo. Back at Jujutsu High, Maki, Inumaki, and Panda train Nobara and Megumi to improve their close-range fighting abilities. Gojo also decides to teach Yuuji how to control the flow of cursed energy. First though, Gojo must explain the difference between cursed energy and cursed techniques. Using soda cans, Gojo shows how cursed energy can burst the can, but cursed techniques take that energy, concentrate it, and allow him to finesse it so he can twist the can. Humans' ability to use jujutsu is based solely on their innate talent, of which Yuuji possesses none. However, over time, Gojo hopes that he can teach Yuuji how to use Sukuna's techniques. For now, Gojo focuses on teaching Yuuji how to use cursed energy to improve his physical offense. Yuuji did channel cursed energy when facing the Curse Womb spirit, but he lacks control of the emotions necessary to use it consistently. In chapter 13, Gojo uses movies to help Yuuji control his emotions. He has Yuuji hold one of Principal Yaga's cursed corpses while watching the movies. The doll will awaken if it's not receiving a constant flow of cursed energy. Using different movies to elicit different emotions, Yuuji must keep the doll asleep regardless of what emotions he's feeling. During their training, Megumi sits down with Maki and Panda to discuss the use of cursed tools. Although he likes to keep his hands free, Megumi asks if he can store the cursed tool within the shadow of his Shikigami. Before Gojo leaves Yuuji for his training, he asked if he agreed to any of Sukuna's conditions to get his heart back. However, Yuuji is unable to recall the details of what he and Sukuna discussed, so he just waves it off. On their way to meet Principal Yaga, Gojo has Kiyotaka stop the car and he gets out just in time for Jogo to attempt an ambush from the sky. Jogo uses flames to incinerate Gojo, but he easily brushes that off, noting that the curse in front of him is highly intelligent and unregistered. In chapter 14, Gojo notes that things are starting to be fun now that he's faced with an unregistered special grade curse. Jogo then summons an army of ember insects, which Gojo is able to stop mid-air, but they explode. In this explosion, Gojo is taken off guard, which makes Jogo think that he can win and has the upper hand. However, Gojo blows away the smoke, noting that none of Jogo's attacks are ever going to be able to hit them as they can only approach the infinity between them. Realizing Jogo is confused, Gojo allows him to get close enough to try and touch his hand. This is when Jogo realizes his hand does stop short of actually touching Gojo, and Gojo uses his free hand to pummel him down. As Jogo gets beat, Gojo explains that he can bring infinity into reality using the space created by convergence and divergence. He then unleashes this power on Jogo using his curse technique Reversal Red, blowing him away. Jogo tries to counterattack, but Gojo suddenly appears behind him, kicking him down into a shallow lake. Gojo disappears for a moment, then suddenly reappears with a confused Yuuji by his side. Then Gojo explains that Yuuji is going to be sitting in on the lesson. In chapter 15, Gojo uses his fight with Jogo to teach Yuuji about domain expansion. When Jogo realizes that Yuuji is Sukuna's vessel, he asks Gojo if he plans to use him as a shield. However, Jogo responds that his opponent is too weak for Yuuji's presence to be a liability. Jogo then uses Domain Expansion Coffin of the Iron Mountain to bring Gojo and Yuuji into his domain. Domain expansions use cursed energy to forge an enclosed space. Within this space, the creator of the domain has improved stats and their attacks will never miss. This should allow Jogo to hit Gojo despite his infinite technique. When Jogo tries to use his domain to incinerate Gojo, Gojo showcases for Yuuji how to properly counter a domain by expanding a domain of his own, as the stronger domain will reign supreme. Then Gojo removes his blindfold and uses Unlimited Void to bring Jogo into his domain. In doing so, he exposes Jogo to too much information and endless perception and communication, thus rendering him immobile and unable to do anything but die slowly. Before this happens though, Gojo plans to interrogate Jogo. He removes Jogo's head and asks who sent the assassin, as Geto and Hanami watch from a cliffside nearby, debating if they should help out. In chapter 16, Geto notes that he doesn't want to be seen by anyone from Jujutsu High, but tells Hanami he can go ahead and help Jogo out if he wants. Gojo's interrogation of Jogo is useless and he's nearly hit by a spike which pierces the ground, from which a flower garden sprouts. This distracts them long enough for Hanami to swoop in and rescue Jogo. The garden then spawns a wooden curse that begins to attack Yuuji. Gojo saves Yuuji, but Hanami and Jogo get away in the process. Gojo is impressed by how well the special grade curse Hanami was able to hide his presence, and he's even more excited to train his students to defeat curses of that level. We then see Geto recruiting special grade curses in an effort to seal Gojo, and we finally get a glimpse at the mastermind behind it all. Back at the school, Megumi and Nobara are running errands for the second years when they bump into their rivals from the Kyoto school. And that is volume 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen. For those of you who made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching, and we'll be diving into volume 3 next week. That is all for today, and I will see you next time.